Okay, we're done with our pie chart and bar chart. Now we want to create a frequency table. So a frequency is just a count, and then come up with our relative frequency, which is our percentages. So we want to do this on what age? So probably, and you could look back at my last one and do a pivot table, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and sort this by age. So I'm kind of, oh, I hit my pivot table. So let's go back and do this right here. So sort by age. All right, so now I can kind of see that the age starts at 18 and goes to 50. So what I probably would do, and there is kind of a method to the madness to do this stuff, so don't think that I'm just, fly by night type thing. What I typically like to do is take the max and subtract the min, and then decide how many bins I want. Bins meaning the bars, right? But the categories. So you saw me put these in order, and I already know the max and the min, but why not learn that Excel has a function to do this, max. So I'm just looking in, I think that's that's education, wrong one. So I'm looking in the age column, and that's the 50. And then the min, same thing, looking in the age column. And so what I do with this is I take the max minus the min, so equals that minus that. And then from here, this is where I said there is a method to the madness. Typically, they like you to pick the number of bins. Rule of thumb is between 4 and 6. And so what I do is I say, well, let's have, I'm looking at this number and you're thinking 4, right? Because that would go evenly into this number. It doesn't have to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's go ahead and have 5 bins. And so if I take the max minus the min and I divide by that number, what this tells me is what I should jump by. What does that mean? Well, I'd start at the lower value, and then what I would do is I would take and add this value, and I'd continue to do this. Now, I probably should absolute reference this, but I want this to move down. So watch what happens when I drag this formula down. I need to keep going until I hit what? 50, right? And so basically my interval here, this would be from 18 to what, 24.3. Now we already know over here we don't have decimals in our ages, but let's just, be complete. 30.7. See, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the next number, and this is the interval of values, 30.8 and 37.1, 43.5, la la la, and then of course 49.9, and then 50 is our final value, so I can just do something like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm just saying that, well, this is my bins, and I want to know the values that are in here. Again, this is more of I know this feels like I'm just making numbers up. It is more of a decide on the number of bins you want. Typically, this is the best way to take your max minus your min and divide by your number of bins. And then even from here, if you wanted to make all these round numbers, you could. Because basically, when I get to 24, I'm going to stop, right? That's going to actually start at 25. So again, that's kind of up to you. Now, I know I showed how to do pivot tables, but I'm just going to do this with count because I have these in order. So what I'm looking for is the count between 18 and, where am I going, to 24, which would be these. I'm going to do the count of 25 to what, 30? 30. Oops, there's some 30s, 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 30s. All right, now I'm going to do basically 31 to what, 37? So 30, 30, 30, 30, 31. So all I'm doing is, once again, my count formulas. Oh, and notice that I'm just typing count in. If you watch the pie chart, I used count A. Why? Because that was text. These are numbers, so it will count them. And so that was 37. So now I need 38 to 43. 38, and you're probably sitting there going, man, this would be so much easier with a pivot table. I agree, but I just wanted to show you another formula. And then, of course, I messed up. My count of 44, 44, 44, 44, or 44, 44, and cut off there. And then finally, we know that there was just one 50-year-old. Okay, so where are we at? Right there, the 150-year-old. So those are my actual counts. So this is, you could call it the low end, the high end. This is the interval. This many values are in this interval. Now, I probably should sum these because I could have made a mistake. Did you see me make a mistake? If I sum these, I better get 180. So it's good to sum them, right? Because I'm sitting here clicking and dragging and stuff. So I've made my frequency, my count. Now what I want to do is I want to do a relative frequency. Well, a relative frequency, I guess I can make that a little better, is the count divided by the total. And remember, I want to copy that same total. And now I copy this straight down and I sum this column and hope that it actually adds to 1, and it does. So this is the frequency of each one of these. This is a frequency table. A lot of times you will be asked to also add the cumulative frequency. What the cumulative frequency is, the first row is just that frequency. The next one is the frequency before plus this one. And so now notice the next one will be this total, so I should be able to copy this. We'll see. There you go. So notice this was actually the value above it plus that row. And these should add, so you're accumulating cumulative frequency, you're adding all of these up. So that's pretty much it for a frequency distribution table. It's just a lot of times students find it very odd, this part right here. There's many ways that you can do formulas to do these. Textbooks give a method to this madness. Most of them just say take the max minus the min and divide by your number of bins. And then that gives you your width of your actual interval.